Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Career Life Show. Super excited for my guest today. In just a few minutes, I'll be walking through those doors and talking to the Honorable Mayor Mike Purzycki of Wilmington. We're going to sit down and talk about his career life journey. We're going to talk about how he started out playing football. He got injured. He went into law school and he worked in real estate development. So he did a lot of things. And what's going to be great is we're going to find out how he got into politics, how he became mayor, what's he up to now, what's in it for the city of Wilmington, how are things going, what are the challenges of being a mayor. It's an interesting position to be in because you face so much criticism and so many different things. So it's going to be great to sit down and talk to him about all these things and really just learn a lot from him. And I think you'll find he's very personable. So without further ado, Mayor of Wilmington, the Honorable Mayor Mike Purzycki.
Our world is changing faster and faster. Humans are constantly on the go. Over 70% of people are not happy in some way. They're living in the shadows of fear, especially in their careers and life. Are we humans doomed? I don't think so. And that's where I come in. My name is Joseph Stanley Reichowski, otherwise known as JoeWoo. Each week, I seek to uncover what it takes to truly live your life to the fullest by finding out through interviewing people what were their failures and what did it take for them to reach success. Their stories are truly inspiring, and perhaps they'll inspire you to let go of your fear and live your career and life to the fullest.
Good morning, everybody, and I am here with the Honorable Mayor Mike Purzycki of Wilmington, Delaware. Thanks for
Joe.
thanks. It's good seeing you again. It's been a while since I've seen Mayor Mike, but I'm excited to talk to him today about his career, how he got started, and we'll get some great advice from him. So thank you.
Wow.
I teed you up there.
It's worth what you paid for it. So.
Exactly. So I know you earned a football scholarship at the University of Delaware, and then after graduating, you were with the New York Giants. So that was one thing I never knew about you.
No.
And I thought it was fascinating, and you had an injury that sidelined your career. So how did you handle that adversity?
Well, you know, it's funny. When I see how some people go through life with adversity, I never think of myself of having had much adversity. You know,
Right.
I had two loving parents, great family, kind of a middle-class environment.
Right.
So I've never been through that period of, my God, how am I ever going to survive this?
Sure.
But, you know, people of my generation we didn't know we didn't have much, but we didn't have much. And
Right.
I look back, my dad was an automobile dealer. He just was always hand to mouth. I mean, it really was. He was a great father. My brother and I worshiped him. I think it's a good place to start a life.
Right.
But yeah, I went to the University of Delaware, and after that, I signed as a free agent with the New York Giants, which was huge for me because that's how I grew up
Right.
in the New York media market.
Right.
And in those days, there was no free agency, so the same guys I rooted for as a kid were still there.
Right.
So I wanted to go get autographs.
Right.
But so I got hurt. I got hurt by catching a pass from Fran Tarkenton, who was a Hall of Famer. You know,
Right.
if you're a little older, you remember him.
Right.
I tell young people, they're like, "Who's he?" You know.
Right.
But so I shed a tear probably when I got cut, but that was about it.
Sure.
I moved on.
Right, and then you, obviously a very successful career. So you worked at IBM in data
IBM.
processing sales,
Yeah,
stockbroker,
that was great. Yep.
and then you went to Delaware Law School. So what made you decide to do that? You practiced law for over a decade, and then
You know, it's so funny. As you're growing up. So I'm in my 20s, and I'm doing well in the real estate business.
Right.
And I had those experiences with the stockbroker and with IBM. And one day I just said, this is not working for me. What does that
Sure.
mean? I don't know what it means. It didn't. For me, it was I need more in my life.
Right.
I know some of the most successful real estate brokers in the world who've made a fortune in that business,
Right.
and I think I did very well, and I think I could have done extremely well if I just kept at that. I felt as though I had to have some more self-improvement. So I
Right.
went to law school,
More
which
to it.
is sheer torture, selling real estate during the day, and
Right.
then commercial transactions at night at 10 o'clock at the Delaware Law School.
Right.
But I practiced for 10 years, and I realized that just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You know, I was always the things. A group of us got together and bought golf course, marina. We started developing apartments and,
Oh, wow.
and did other work. And I thought, that's who I am, and that's what it really was. That's the thing that I really loved. I love taking old beat up properties and renewing them. And so that's kind of the way this whole thing happened. And then probably jumping ahead of your interview here, but
It's okay.
we got to, I got to a day when a friend called me and said, there's this position for an executive director of the Riverfront development. And I said, not interested. We're just going to go to work
Right.
for government. And so he called me back, and I said, look, I told you I am not interested.
Right.
But it's perfect for you. I'm not interested. So he called my wife, and I was toast after that. But the truth is, the more I thought about it, I thought, what a magnificent opportunity.
Right.
And there's a book by Paul Coelho, The Alchemist.
Yes.
And in the
Great
book,
book.
and it is a great book. But in the book, there's a quote that I never forget, and it says, "It's almost as if you want something badly enough, it seems like the whole universe conspires to give it to you."
Yeah.
And I remember I was so determined that this was going to be mine. This
Right.
job was going to be mine. And it kind of worked out that way.
Right.
I went in and interviewed, and I had to see this guy and that guy, and of course the governor. And so I wound up doing that. It really changed my life, because it was, would my life have been better otherwise? I mean, who knows? I mean,
knows,
we had,
right.
we had a very good life, period. But this was just a great place to build something out of it. I mean, garbage.
Right. I remember that too, because I remember I was big down here. I was going to the Blue Rocks games when I was in high school and everything, and then I remember you were tapped to do that. So what was it? I mean, obviously it was great, life-changing for you probably to do all that, but what was it just like to be in the moment of being able to just make something, like you said, out of garbage, basically? It must have been just truly phenomenal.
It really, people say, well, where was the plan? This was you making it up as you go along.
Right.
It was, first of all, every square inch of ground over there was contaminated.
That's
There was
true.
no river walk. There was no place to walk from one to the other. The road system was dreadful. I mean,
Right.
It was in terrible shape, and it went in circles. In fact, I had asked Tom Maloney, former mayor and a dear friend of mine, I had to call him and ask him to show me how to get to the river, because other than going to what is now, the park right down there,
Right.
you couldn't figure out how to get to water, because there are all these crazy roads that you had to
Right.
go through. And so Tom came down and we walked around there, but there was no edge on the river. It was just a
Wow.
hellhole. But somehow I got my mind engaged, and this is going to be a great project, and I'm going to be part of it.
Right. And it's fascinating to see it. I mean, we go down there so
Right.
many times a month. I mean, to the movie theaters down there now,
Right.
all the restaurants. I mean,
I'm
it's just
really,
amazing.
I'm really happy that movie theaters seem to be making a huge comeback with some of these movies. I forget, what's the cartoon movie that's out there right now?
Oh, the Minions
It
is
did
out there now.
the
Yeah,
Minions, it
right.
got
Yeah.
$100 million
Well, they got the
in first
classic stuff
weekend.
down there too, right? To Kill
I
Mockingbirds,
know,
because they're
I
bringing
know.
all that back. Wizard of Oz, and I'm like, this is great. But I love the atmosphere down there. I know
Yeah.
back in the beginning, I was like, is this going to work? And I remember
Right.
thinking to myself, what's this going to be like? And then we'd start going to Timothy's and just walk around there. I remember Ella Bean was there. Yeah.
Timothy's was the only place down there for the longest
I
time.
remember that, yeah. I'm like, what's going to be here? And then
Right.
it's like, it just seemed like it's all of a sudden morphed. And now you look at it, there's all these hotels, and
Yeah.
it's fascinating. So wonderful job. So that must have been exciting to just see
It
that
was.
come to, and you see it now, how it's continuing to grow.
And if you could stand a football metaphor,
Yeah.
I think that it really is a team sport, and someone's got to be quarterback. So I was blessed to be quarterback. But
love that.
any quarterback with any sense of modesty at all knows that without tackles and guards, you're going to be flat on your back.
Right,
the whole game.
right. You need somebody.
So if I had to describe those, other players. It's in large measure, it's a great DelDOT project. DelDOT has just invested so much down there. They've done so many good things. We had a great board of directors. I had every single governor has been on. Well, they've not been on the board. They've been very supportive. Tom Carper was the first, and Tom Carper never missed a meeting in I think the 8 years he was there.
Right.
It might have been slightly less of the
right.
RDC, but he never missed a meeting. He was so committed to it. So, that's what it takes. It's not one person.
No, absolutely. And that's the great thing you bring up with teamwork, because obviously in this position you got to rely on so many people. So how do you rely on so many people, because there's so many moving parts to what you do every day? So is it delegating?
It's not always pretty. I mean, we
Right.
had some soul crushing moments. When things start to seem hard,
Right.
people bail on you. The people who are there, they get discouraged, and before you know it, they're not on your team, and now you got to get them back, and it's tough. I mean, people succumb to political pressure all the time.
Sure.
And I think some of our proudest moments, when I say ours, it was myself and Mike Hare early, and then Mike left, and Megan McGlinchey
Right.
and I were working shoulder to shoulder on this, and we had some moments where we walked in there and put our heads on the desk, like, how are we doing this?
Right.
But we got some of the big projects done in spite
It's
of.
amazing.
It wasn't opposition. It was a lack of determination on the
Right.
part of some others. So,
Right.
but the results are pretty good.
Right. Now, obviously, being a mayor and being in politics and government, you have a lot of criticism. It's coming at you from every angle, everywhere. I mean, it's unbelievable what I still see out there.
God,
How do you handle that? Because people get bashed on Twitter, they get bashed on Facebook, and it's just constant. So it's got to get you down to points, but yeah.
It's hard. It
Right.
really is hard. So we were laughing today because the mayor of Philadelphia, Jim Kenney, apparently tweeted, I can't wait for my last
I saw
day."
that.
Did you see
I
it?
saw that this morning. He was on TV saying
well,
that.
the worst thing is I was ready to retweet it. I was ready to say, yeah, I feel your pain.
Right.
It is this weekend, we just had our meeting, and I talked about all of the complaints that we hear from people all the time.
Right.
And it just,
Wow.
in a city like ours, which is so personal and more, I mean, if you're in Philadelphia, there's so many levels you got to get to
Sure.
before you get to the mayor. But here, pick up the phone
Right.
and you can get me.
You're always visible.
Yeah,
You're around everywhere. And that's what
exactly.
makes it great.
Some
Yeah.
ladies call me, she's mad because she's not getting any mail. I'm like, I can't help that.
Right.
What can I do about that?
Wow.
So I'm getting much better about it. I don't feel it as personally as I used to, I think.
Get the battle scars, I guess.
You get a little disappointed in some of the pettiness, you
Sure.
know. I mean, and some of it angers me a good deal. I mean, I just think instead of talking about the issue, whatever it is, and I can
Right.
think of a specific case, they tend to personalize it, you know.
Right. That's got to be hard
It's-
when they
it's-
hit you
yeah,
hard
it
like that.
really
Yeah.
it really gets. But I'm a big boy.
Right.
One thing about getting older, it's one of the few good things about getting older, is you've been there before and you understand how weak human beings can be, and you don't get upset about it.
Right.
You just say, look, put it in its proper perspective. You're a long time dead, so you don't worry about some of this nonsense.
Right, and that's a great way of looking at it. You just got to move forward from it and everything. So what are some things that you feel confident for the city of Wilmington in the future? I mean, there's so much that's been done and so many good things have happened.
So, I said publicly not too long ago, so we don't have problems that are not America's problems.
Right.
And we in Wilmington have to be better than America, because I think America does not do a very good job, just based on its politics.
Right.
It's just kind of stuck on stupid in too many ways.
I agree.
And I, for one, I am chafing about some of the Supreme Court decisions. We have to learn to work around them, because they're not going to change. But we have to be better here. We got to do a better job in our neighborhoods. We've got to strengthen our neighborhoods.
Right.
We have to use law enforcement, but if all you're doing is law enforcement, ultimately you're losing.
Right.
And so the problems that we have, the only problems we have, is too much poverty, too much disconnect from societal norms among our young people, which results in criminal behavior, and that's a problem. And it's not just a problem for us people like myself, who frankly don't have crime on my doorstep.
Right.
but for people in communities where they literally have a 6 and 7-year-old shot over the weekend.
Yeah,
You know,
it's tragic.
I mean, it sounds like they're going to be okay, but who wants to deal with that? And
Right.
we have to try to figure out the root of what is this criminal behavior by a bunch of our young people. And by the way, not always young people,
Right.
but a good deal of young people. And so, you know, we need the honest analysis, which we tend not to do.
Sure.
We tend to what's the right word I have? First of all, we externalize it, so we blame somebody else all
Right.
the time. That's not a winning. That's not a winning
No.
solution.
Never wins.
And I think we're not willing to face a little bit of the pain that goes along with, you know, being honest about
Right.
about the different parts of our population that it just they're not helping the solution. They're contributing to the problem.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's tough. So one of the things we mentioned before we got to the interview, do a mortgage business. So what do you see as far as affordable housing in Wilmington? I know that's been a tough topic for a while and everything.
You know, so affordable housing for us really means we have to build houses that are subsidized and give
Gotcha.
people a chance to buy in at an affordable level, whatever
Right.
that affordable level is. We know that people cannot afford to pay what it costs to build housing in the city.
Yeah.
But if we don't do something about the corrosive nature of neighborhoods that start to fail, if you don't turn that around, then the entropy, the collapse continues.
Right.
It just continues. You got to push back against it. So, we've committed about $20 million to the east side.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've committed a lot of money
great.
to it out of the ARPA funds that we've received, and we have some other funds we can use. But it's an execution problem right now. We have a difficult time finding the mechanics, finding the people who can actually do the work, and getting them out there on the job
wow.
and fixing houses. So it's a tall order we have to deal with. But to me, that's how we turn things around.
Sure.
I have feelings about schools. I'd like to see change. I think that we're better off. We are oddly better off with a Wilmington High School where we can keep our arms around our kids and
Right.
understand who's going off the rails, instead of sending them to 10 different high schools where we
Yeah,
kind of lose
it's hard,
control.
right.
I think that's my own personal view. Others
No, it's
may
a really good
disagree.
point. Yeah, that's really good. So thinking about your history in politics, what's one piece of success that you'd say that's the best thing that happened? I know it's kind of a loaded
In our
question.
city?
Yeah, in our city, let's say.
Best thing for us, best thing that we've done since I'm here is supported HBCU Week and watch it grow from about 600 kids who showed up in the first time we did it 5 years ago to last year we had 6,000 kids
Oh, wow.
show up.
That's awesome.
I don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but it's tens of millions in scholarships given to thousands of kids going to HBCUs. We've Ashley Christopher on my staff has done a masterful job of pulling this thing together. She's had exposure to the White House, down
wow.
to Disney World. She is going
That's awesome.
to bring HBCU Week down to Disney World. I guess Disneyland's in California.
Gotcha, right.
But
okay.
so it's if to me you got thousands of kids going to school getting scholarships.
It's
I'd
huge.
I'd put that at the top.
Yeah, that's huge. Education's huge. That's awesome. So you're in your second term. So things are going to wrap up at some point down the road here. So what's next for you? Probably after this, you see retirement or?
Well, I hate to tell you, so I'm 76. At the end of my term, I'm 79.
Wow.
Their reality bites, and so I think if my health were good, I might stick around if I felt good about things. But Jim Kenny,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I can't.
He said it best today.
I can't wait for that first day
Yeah.
when I do not have to listen to all the nonsense. And but I have great days. I have great days, and I really enjoy what I do. But there are some days when it just tires you out.
all right, let's go home and take the
Right.
bat and ball and go home. But I see the positivity that you have. I mean, I see it out there on social media, so it is big, and it goes a long way to to really give people hope and that hey, things are really changing and things are going to be for the better here.
Yeah.
So that's definitely a good thing. Any regrets along your career? Like, is there anything you could say, well, I could have maybe done this better, or
That's a great question. Boy, I'd have to be a whiny little brat to be talking about regrets I've had. I've had such a wonderful life, great family, great wife. My kids are doing well. I have grandchildren now. At the age of 75, I had my first grandchildren.
Oh, wow.
Two more on the way now. So, I don't know. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to look back and say,
Sure.
You should have done this, you should have done that. This is hard. So,
Right.
it's easy. It's kind of easy to say things might have been better if we had done that, but in the context of the time when you made that decision, you can't call out a regret. I mean,
Right.
there's never been a day we haven't done the very best we can. Never been a day. We come in, it's funny. Somebody said to me when I got in the elevator one day, they said, "Oh, Mayor, how are you?" And she was, "Let me ask you, do you come in every day?" I said, "Of course I come in."
Right. Hello. Right.
But not all mayors do.
Right.
I mean, they have a chief operating officer who runs the city, and that's
Sure.
the end of it. But no, I'm a hands-on pain in the neck.
I love it.
I really get involved.
Be in the weeds.
Yeah, and a little bit in the weeds. But I also have the big picture that I think we all have to adhere to as well. So
Great.
yeah, so life's good.
That's awesome. Well, my last question for you, and I appreciate your time today. This has been wonderful learning about your career and a lot of the successes and things like that. So if you have one piece of career advice to give to our audience, what would that be?
Yeah, Paul Coelho,
Right.
if you want something badly enough, the whole universe conspires to give it to you. So I think,
beautiful.
if you find something that you really want to do, I think you dedicate yourself to that. That's kind of corny advice I think
No, I
could
think it's
give.
great. You just go
Yeah.
all in and just dedicate yourself fully to it.
Yeah, it'll work out.
That's great. Well, thank you so much for your time. Everybody, the Honorable Mayor Mike Purzycki of Wilmington, Delaware, thank you so much for taking the time on the show, and we appreciate it.
Good luck. Thank
Thanks.
you very much.
All right, everybody, what did you think? Was that not fun talking to the mayor? It just was a great sit-down conversation, very casual, very enlightening, and it was wonderful to hear him talk about the adversity early on, how he faced it head-on with not being able to play professional football, how he got into real estate development, how he was very successful, and then taking that a step further, going to law school at night while still working and doing that, how to balance that, and then getting into politics and how he became mayor of the city of Wilmington. And it was, I think, fascinating too to take a journey back through the Wilmington city and Riverfront development, where he spearheaded all that to develop the Wilmington Riverfront. And just probably over 20-some years ago, 25 years ago, it was kind of a wasteland. You had a baseball stadium, the Wilmington Blue Rocks, and you had a restaurant, and amazing to see the Riverwalk, how it turned out. There's a movie theater now, so many restaurants, there's apartments down there. It's truly a phenomenal place, and so many people call it home. So hats off to Mayor Purzycki for spearheading that and changing Wilmington for the better for that. And I think it was great too to talk to him about how he handles criticism. It's tough when you're in politics. You're always getting bashed everywhere on social media. It's not always fun. And like you heard him say, there's so many great days, and there's some days where you just want to go home and start the next day. So it was really great to hear how he handles that. He's in his second term now, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does after this. I don't think he can probably stay retired or retire. He's probably going to continue to be involved in what he's done. But you heard him talk about how things are a team, how he relies on the team, like he's the quarterback, and he relies on people to help get things done. And what I like too was talking about affordable city housing for Wilmington. It is much needed, and it was great to see the city pledge so much money already, and also what they're going to continue to do. And you can see it and feel it in his voice, how passionate he is about making things better. And I think how special we are here in Wilmington, because it's such a smaller city. And it's hard because you're in the bigger cities of like New York, Chicago, Philly, and LA. It's a lot. And Wilmington's a great city. Everybody knows everybody. And I met Mayor Purzycki probably over 20-some years ago and hadn't seen him in a while, and we just picked up and had a great conversation. So thank you again, Mayor Purzycki. It was a pleasure to interview you, learn about your life and career journey and what you're up to and all the good you've done for the city of Wilmington. Thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.